I'd like to call this meeting of the Carpentersville Village Board to order. Call the attendance, call the roll.
Trustee Burroway.
Here.
Trustee Stevens.
Here.
Trustee Humfer.
Here.
Trustee Sabi.
Here.
Trustee Rayberg.
Here.
Trustee Schultz.
Here.
President Ritter.
Here. We'll rise for Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for an invocation from our pinch hitter tonight, Pastor Ball. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Ball.
Thank you, and let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just come before you tonight, and we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunities we had to, Lord, just to live and to express, Lord, your goodness in the earth. And now tonight, we just ask your blessings over this meeting tonight. We pray that you would continue to watch over our village. Lord God, our trustees, Lord, our chiefs, Lord God, all our departments and all those that serve in administration. Lord God, we thank you that your hand is upon us to lead us and guide us. And so, Lord, just continue to bless our great village. Let us continue to prosper in you, and we just pray that your will is done tonight. And all these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Okay, we have no proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, or awards. We do have one appointment tonight. It's in the form of a resolution. I've recommended that Kelly Naga be appointed as the village clerk. I would need a motion.
I'll motion to pass the resolution.
I'll second.
Motion, Mark. Second, was that Jeff? Oh, Kevin, excuse me. Motion second. Any discussion or comments? If not, please call the roll. Oh, you have a comment?
That's yay. I'm glad we're getting it too. I know the chief's saying yay. So.
I get to add this to my resume. I don't know what you're talking about. Trustee Stevens.
Yes.
Trustee Humfer.
Yes.
Trustee Sabi.
Yes.
Trustee Rayberg.
Yes.
Trustee Schultz.
Yes.
Trustee Burroway.
Yes.
Okay, with that, Kelly is here this evening. If you don't mind standing up, Kelly, and we'll put you on
aboard.
the camera so everybody sees you. This will be the first office inside the door.
Welcome.
No, nothing like a little pressure. Like we could have stood up, I guess, but we'll just leave it go like that. Oh, did you have family with you here? People that are here to hear you give your.
Yeah.
You want to give us his name, or you want to keep him?
He said.
What?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's typical whenever we appoint a new officer or whatever position, they introduce the people around them. But you'll be sitting up here helping me to remember do all this. Maybe the next meeting. I don't know what the timeline is here exactly. Okay. Do we have any public commenters this evening, Chief?
No one signed up.
Okay, no public comment, then we're ready for consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of those items unless the trustee so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Any items to be removed?
I'll motion to pass the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion Paul, second Ginger. Please call the roll.
Trustee Humfer.
Yes.
Trustee Sabi.
Yes.
Trustee Rayberg.
Yes.
Trustee Schultz.
Yes.
Trustee Burroway.
Yes.
And Trustee Stevens.
Yes.
Okay. Well, several things on here of interest. Just like a new water pump or a sewage pump in this case, to make sure we're always ahead of the game. We always have spare pump on hand because if a pump ever goes out, that means the sewage is just backing up down the pipe and right into your basement. So we try to be prepared for any emergency, especially in the water and sewer departments. Special service order for service area for Walmart. That's just a perfunctory deal there. There's a Phase 1 engineering study for the Old Town project, where eventually needs to have to replace all the water and sewers. And the first step is always an engineering study of the area to determine the scope of the project. So it's money for a future project that we need to spend. And the rest of it pretty routine. We're ready for reports of the manager, officers, commissions, and staff. Mark, you have 2 different reports.
We've got both from the engineer, Bob or Ed. I don't know who wants to go first. Bob, I think you're ready. You're up.
Thank you, Manager Rooney. Tonight in new business, there is a resolution for improvements to the White Oaks subdivision detention basin. I'm just going to quickly summarize what's happened over there in the last year or so. As you recall, last summer, a few residents from the White Oaks subdivision attended an audit and finance meeting to discuss their concerns with the detention basin located on the west side of the development. Their concerns were basically the aesthetics of the basin, which included algae growth, lack of aquatic plants, smell, mosquitoes, and the water depth. Shortly after this meeting, Public Works met with the residents to discuss and get an understanding of the issues so that a plan could be developed to address them. The first thing that Public Works did was pump the detention basin dry to eliminate the algae and also to determine the depth of the water. We continue to keep that basin pumped until the cold weather set in. We determined that the water depth was in some places were 8 to 10 inches deep, which is too deep to support aquatic life, which was planted a few years prior. So a plan was developed to raise the base of the floor of the basin to a depth of not greater than 4 inches below the outlet pipe. Public Works will take a part in this. We will haul dirt, and Applied Ecological Services will spread to the proper level. We have discussed this plan with the homeowners association, or the residents, I'm sorry, and they are on board with this. In early spring, Applied Ecological Services will plant approximately 2,000 emergent plugs and 2,000 square yards of emergent seed in the basin. Once this is done, Public Works will maintain the proper level of water in that basin until the plugs and seed have been established. So that's our plan.
Have you heard anything more from the residents, or are you in contact with them, Bob? Or?
I'm in constant contact with the residents.
Okay.
And like I said, last week we did discuss this plan with them. And
Yeah, I just,
a lot
yeah.
of questions that they had.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, just want to make sure.
Go ahead, Paul.
Are we going to ask questions in lieu of the resolution that's upcoming, or do we wait till then? Do you want us to ask questions now?
Well, just ask your questions now, and
All right.
then you can still
With
ask
the
them later.
with relative to the account that's identified here in the resolution, is that the special service area account? Do you
No,
know?
it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
What is that then?
I think that's a capital improvement.
It is the capital
improvement.
It's a capital improvement, so that's where the money's going to come from to pay for this. And why are we not using the SSA?
The balance of the SSA 6 years ago was moved to the capital improvement plan. So there is not the balance of money of a sufficient quantity to do this work. And since that fund remaining balance was from the initial developer, it was transferred to the capital improvement.
Okay, so it's a deposit account. We're just taking down the amount based on the expenditure.
Yep.
Okay.
And it may, depend on what the final balance orders will be, whether we have a plus or a minus in that from what was left over from the developer that that didn't finish the job.
Then we'll handle that with the levy for the SSA.
SSA, and it's going forward.
Perfect. I'm okay with that.
Identified from this originally. Yep.
Perfect. Just want to make sure.
So
Thank
it's
you.
actually money that came from the developers to fix mistakes. And that was a mistake. That pond never should have been like that, so
We're correcting it.
we just moved it to capital projects, and now we're spending it. But it doesn't exclusively belong to that subdivision.
Yeah,
You knew all that, I
Well,
think, Paul.
for this discussion, I think so. I mean, it was a settlement of a surety bond, I think, initially. That's where the money came from.
Right.
So.
From the developer, the original developer.
Any other questions? Pat?
Just a quick one, Bob. This spring, will you be taking care of the landscaping around those 2 little cul-de-sacs
Yes.
that they spoke of, that they had issues with? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
My meeting last week, I also asked that these residents, that we meet in the very near future to discuss things that they want to see done within the SSA, and some of them are the cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Bob.
Trying to bring them into all the.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah, so, thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
And if Mr. Sadlowski can make his way to the microphone, he's got some good news about Route 31.
Good news, Ed, that's what we call it.
Always like good news.
Manager Rooney stated, wanted to give some updates on some funding we received for 31 Huntley, as well as a right-of-way update as well. As you know, 31 Huntley is funded by a couple different sources, CMAQ funding, federal funded, and then STP funded, which is federal funded, and then contributions from IDOT for their portion of 31. We've had that funding in place for a couple years. In December, there was 2 opportunities to get some increased funding from CMAQ and IDOT. The village put together a couple requests, supported by Kane County Council of Mayors. The mayor actually signed the letters. We sent one to CMAQ, the other to IDOT together. And in the beginning of January, we received word from IDOT that they were going to give us an increase to their contribution, an additional $316,000 for their improvements to 31 Huntley. And then we submitted a letter to Kane County Council of Mayors, which went to CMAQ. They actually went to the meeting for us in early January, again with the mayor's support on a letterhead, King Kendall's support in person at the meeting. They gave us an increased amount of $2.6 million. So it's a huge amount set for this project now. In the beginning, our contributions from other sources were the $6.25 million, those 3 sources I mentioned. To date, we're at $11.5 million.
Wow.
Some of that funding is going toward Huntley Road is at 20%. Lincoln and Main is funded at 20%. Our overall construction costs for the project total is down to 14.5%. But the water main has always been the commitment of the village. The funding, federal funding, doesn't cover water main and sanitary sewer improvements. So about $1 million of that is water main and sanitary improvements that'll come from the enterprise fund for that. But if you're looking at total overall funding from, costs from phase 1, phase 2, land ac, utility improvements, construction engineering, it's about $13.9 million. The village's portion, all said and done, is going to be about $1.95 million, with $1 million of that being the water main. So we're about, overall, that's 17%.
Wow.
The whole project. So that's pretty good for the village.
It's very good.
Pretty good, that's phenomenal.
Give an update on that. And then also on right-of-way. Right-of-way's looking pretty good, but as you've been updated previously, we do have a couple parcels that are going to condemnation, and that takes some time. So we're down to 5 parcels that are going to condemnation, 4 IDOT parcels on 31. One of them is on our jurisdiction, but with our agreement with IDOT, they're actually going to go ahead and do the condemnation for ours also. It's part of our agreement with them. So out of 39 parcels, we're down to 38 actually. That's 64 acquisitions when you include right-of-way and temporary easements. We have 5 remaining that are going to condemnation. Everything else is either obtained or they're under signature, they're under commitment. So that's coming to a close. We're still looking at like maybe a fall letting for that. And unfortunately, it can only take 1 parcel that doesn't fall in line, and IDOT won't move to phase 2 and put us on a letting. So hopefully all 5 will, close up and we'll be able to move forward with that. Any questions?
If it starts in the fall, when would it finish?
That's about an 18-month to 2-year project, more 18-month. And I say 2-year because you're going to have restoration, trees got to be replanted because they die off and stuff, so you have that lingering. But bulk of the construction is going to be 12 to 18 months. So if we're having a fall letting, maybe they do some utility work over the winter. The utility companies have some relocates and stuff to do. So all of 18 will be heavy construction. Probably not much going on the winter, 18, 19, and then they'll clean up spring of 19.
And just to be clear, of course, Route 31 is a state road, so this was their project that they wanted to do. And-
The village
yeah.
actually in 2006 brought this project to
Right.
IDOT. We're the lead agency on it.
Right,
And then we requested IDOT to fund their portion of 31.
Right.
So we're actually the lead agency, it's not IDOT.
yeah,
But because of the Fed funding, IDOT becomes the lead agency for construction.
right.
We're in agreement with them.
Like at the other end, down by Dundee, right? That was it for 72 and 31 there.
IDOT
yeah.
was, I don't know if West Dundee was, I'll be honest, that might have been an IDOT project. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought I heard that, but this is going to include that widening of Huntley Road too, is it not, Paul? All of
Village
this, just so
is-
everybody knows?
And a separate project
Yeah,
is in agreement
right.
with West Dundee to do that, correct?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the same
Yeah, it's
funding
what we're
source, same
doing,
type
yeah.
of agreement.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be, people are gonna be thrilled with that. Yeah, so, so,
It'll be a headache
very
for
nice.
a couple of years, but it'll.
Yeah, it will be, yeah, so.
And we could do the Huntley piece that's on new business with Kevin Gray right after you're
Okay.
done asking Ed questions about 31.
Mhm.
Because 31 goes down to Maine,
Right,
so that's the whole village.
yeah, exactly, so, yeah.
Quick question, Ed. On condemnation, none of those are whole property condemnations, they're just strips?
One is.
Or is there one whole property?
dentist.
one?
The
Oh,
dentist
office,
is an
Yeah.
entire take. Everything else
Yeah.
is either a strip or a temporary easement.
Any other questions for?
I'd just like to ask, there's quite a bit of good information provided here. Could we get the website updated, the village website updated with this information too?
I think it's, we had a set of bullet points and stuff. We'll just add that after this meeting tonight. Or Kevin's probably adding it, because Ed has now spoken it. He'll add it onto the
Could
webpage.
we perhaps sketch out the entire cost of the project, show what we've received in grants versus what the village is paying? And this is something that's similar that happened when we took out the last bond, where we spent 10 million but got about 22 million in construction taken care of. Would that
Yeah.
be based on matching grants? Perfect, yeah. Good job, Steph.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed, very much.
And in the nature of kind of getting ahead of ourselves, we got Kevin Gray smiling. He wants to get you updated on Huntley Road, even though that's an approval item with an IGA later in the meeting.
You want me to speak on the IGA then, the new business item?
And the Huntley Road timeline.
Okay, I'll do IGA first. A little background. As part of the Huntley Road reconstruction project, the village entered into an MOU, memorandum understanding with West Dundee for the acquisition of land for the project. As part of that, the responsibilities for Carpentersville included acquiring 6 parcels north of the center line of Huntley Road within the project area. Out of those 6 parcels, the Dundee Township is the record title holder to 3 of those parcels. 2 out of those 3 parcels are currently being utilized for roadway purposes. Basically, they own up to the center line of Huntley Road. So basically, they own the roadway, shoulder, and ditch, basically. The resolution presented before you tonight will allow the village to accept a donation of property from Dundee Township, a fee title for 2 parcels, as well as a temporary construction easement. As part of the donation, the township will deliver all closing documents as required by the Illinois Department of Transportation's federal guidelines. So the approval of this resolution will start the process of finalizing the acquisition of the 3 remaining parcels. That being said, Huntley Road, we have worked out agreements with the other 3 property owners. We're in the process of getting all these signed and checks cut and everything and recorded. So we're shooting for a June, let's see if I have this written down here, June 16th IDOT letting. So land has to be completed by April 22nd, I believe. So it's a short window. But that's what we're on right now. So it's been pushed from we were on the April letting, got pushed to the June letting because of Land Act. But that's what we're looking for. So,
Kevin, if you could inform the board, the short version of all the lawyer case with our friends down in Springfield, or the that easement, that covenant, the covenant.
Yes, on one of the parcels that the township is title holder of, there is a, let's see if I have it, Opens Land Trust Program easement. So as part of this IGA, the township is actually going to have to work with the IDNR, Illinois Department of Natural Resources, to remove that or transfer that open space easement to another parcel of land that they own that's, I guess, equal in land value and open space value.
And that parcel is in West Dundee, and Manager Cavallero has been conversation with our lawyer and myself. They know what the township is doing with that, and they support it.
And they're handling that. The village can't do any of that. That has to be handled by Dundee Township.
And then the other aspect of why it's a June letting, it's not just our parcels in the township in this covenant.
Correct. There's I want to
West
say about
Dundee.
7 parcels that West Dundee is required. They're required to acquire all the parcels south of the center line of Huntley Road. I want to say 4 or 5 parcels out of the 7 are actually owned by West Dundee. So all I have to do is a simple plat of dedication to their board to do those 5 parcels. Maybe it's 3. I think they have 3 that they have to acquire. One of them, I think they're doing possibly going into condemnation.
With the mall.
Correct.
Yeah, it looks like they've worked it out with the mall owners, the REIT that owns Spring Hill Mall, to do a friendly condemnation. The mall said, condemn us because we have so many cross easements, it's the only way we can get it done. So I think the project looks to start late summer, fall, and again, it will take all of 18 to probably finish everything.
A year and a half, I believe, right? About 18 months? Yeah.
This is one of those, it's been a tough balancing act because we know Huntley Road is very bumpy, but do you spend $80,000 or $100,000 to fix it for 1 year, and then this project comes up and we redo the whole thing again? Or do you leave it and patch it as best you can? Well, we chose to patch it as best we can and save the $100,000 for someplace else. West Dundee's kind of doing the same thing. Theirs is a lot worse than ours. They've done some repairs, but I'm sure they're reluctant to spend $100,000 on theirs too when it's going to get all redone here.
Theirs costs a lot more than $100,000. They'd cost a lot more than $100,000 to fix their portion.
Well, not to do a quick patch where you
It's pretty bad.
it's mowed it all down and then
I drive
redid
it every day.
But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not worried about theirs. I just know ours would have probably
Exactly.
been $80,000 to $100,000, and that's all. I won't worry about their finances.
It's the worst part of Huntley Road is in West Dundee, so.
But
Okay.
the good news
Any other
is
questions?
we have a plan, and it is coming to fruition, working with the township, the village of West Dundee, and our IDOT representatives. It's looks very easy tonight, which you'll pass under new business, but it doesn't account for the hours that
Right.
Kevin Gray and Ed and Bob have worked with people to make them understand
And I think you need
accept.
to add the relationships that we've developed with Dundee Township as well as West Dundee. That wasn't easy to get that easement switched from that open land trust easement you were speaking of, because they will not accept a buy down, from my understanding.
No.
You have to swap land.
And we're working really closely with Joe Cavallero and Eric Babcock over at West Dundee. They haven't done land ac through the federal guidelines, so I kind of assisted them and given them sample files from when I did Maple Avenue and such. So kind of really helped them out to expedite things.
I'm
save
impressed
them
they
money.
turned it so quickly. I thought this was going to delay the project for several more months.
Yeah.
So this is a huge project, and we're still talking Sleepy Hollow to basically Elm.
Sleepy Hollow to Elm.
Perfect. So
And then Route 31 Main Street will take care of the rest.
we'll get some relief on the west side, not until we finish that part from west from Sleepy Hollow, all the way to, I
Randall.
guess Randall.
Land acquisition is always a wild card in any project. I know it's probably delayed us a year and a half from what we really wanted to start this. Maybe that much, maybe not, but it seemed like it.
I think we were shooting for a January letting originally.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
And I just wanted to say on the 21st, we're going to be doing a resolution of support and thanking Terry Wildy for her years of service to the village at that time. And I know there's a lot of employees that want to come out, as well as the trustees, and thank Terry. We're hoping she can make it, but if not, we're hoping one of the family members will come and accept that, resolution and gratitude. That would conclude the manager's report tonight.
Okay,
President.
then we're ready for commissions. Pat, anything this evening?
Just that I believe our next special events meeting will be the 15th coming up, and
Next week, right?
we hope it'll be at Public Works at 6:30. Really start discussing what we can for a schedule of events. As I've mentioned at the last meeting, we already have people that are interested in coming back, and I bring it up, but just because they're just such an excited group, and our Civil War guys had a large meeting, and Carpentersville he said they talked a few minutes on a couple of events and spent almost their entire meeting on Carpentersville and what they want to do, and all the units that are contacting them all winter, what's going on, are they going to have it? So that's a main event, but we're certainly looking at, I hope the committee will look at some other events, and we just have to see where we're at with the park, and what we can work around, so. And other than that, I did want, well, I'll wait for my trustee report then, but that would be it for the commission, so just that upcoming meeting, so.
You could let the folks know that somebody has volunteered to pay for the band this year again?
Oh,
Civil War band?
yeah, yes, exactly. Our Mrs. Fryer had graciously paid for most of the 1st Brigade Band, and I think I reported to the board. They are an elderly group, and they don't do as many reenactments anymore. Maybe they do 1 or 2 during the whole summer. And the manager had come up to me. He was younger. He loved it. We were at the booth there, and he asked if we were going to have it again next year, and would it be possible, could they be invited? And I had contact from Mrs. Breyer, who said, is there any way that I can help again? Love to get them back. And so I called Chuck from the Civil War unit, and he said, I'll call you right back. So I know he was calling, because at this point, even though we're in February, I keep saying this, those kind of folks are already plotting out their year, because summer's short, and they've got a lot of events. They do a lot of school events, so does the 1st Brigade Band. So I think if they're available, I have a feeling they'll want to come back. So it'll be kind of nice. So thank you very much for the donation. So thank you, Ed.
Yeah. Kevin?
No audit and finance meeting since the previous board meeting. Our next meeting, I believe, is February 28th, 7 p.m. It'll be at the Public Works Building. We'll do our requisite review of financials and where we stand against projected. As far as new information goes, we'll be discussing Village Hall and the state of the infrastructure in Village Hall, what might need to be done in order to keep Village Hall from floating, flooding, et cetera, and looking at costs and seeing, where all that falls. No commitments to, any projects or anything like that. This is open discussion and getting the data out there for us to begin to digest and see what we could do.
Will we be doing a parks update also?
I believe
Usually
there
you do
is,
that?
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Public Works?
It is. Yep.
That it?
No, we haven't had a meeting since late December for Business and Development Commission. I know that Patrick Burke is working with the retail strategy software now, becoming familiar with it. We're scheduled to meet later this month. We'll see if we have enough members for a quorum, because our members are usually go south for the winter. So we'll see if they're back, and if they are, then we can have a discussion and see where he's at with developing some reports and ideas for new businesses to come in town with that software. So no report other than we may meet later this month. We'll get back to you on that.
Excuse me. Thank you. The Jelkies Creek Fox River Watershed Coalition, that meeting has been pushed back to February 20th, tentatively, so maybe the next board meeting, I'll have a report for you. As far as the Carpentersville Cares, the Substance Abuse Committee, that will be meeting on the 16th, February 16th, so I'll have a report after that. Thanks.
Guess that concludes all of our reports. We have no old business tonight. Under new business, a resolution waiving competitive bidding requirements and approving a design build consult services agreement with Applied Ecological Services, Inc., AES of Broadhead, Wisconsin, for services for the White Oaks Basin improvements in the amount of $29,624. I need a motion.
To approve.
I'll second.
Motion Jeff, second Paul. Mark?
I think we covered that with Director Cole's update, and as you see, that dollar amount is substantially less than the $45,000 that Director of Finance Hitesh Desai had mentioned. So we do have some room if there's some balance of change orders that take place as we do the adding the dirt and trying to put the plants that will live and improve the aesthetic quality of that basin.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Trustee Sabi.
Yes.
Trustee Rayburg.
Yes.
Trustee Schultz.
Yes.
Trustee Burroway.
Yes.
Trustee Stevens.
Yes.
Trustee Humfer.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Resolution approving an intergovernmental property transfer and easement agreement with Dundee Township for the widening and reconstruction of Huntley Road. I need a motion.
I'll motion to pass this.
Second.
Motion Paul, second Don. Mark, I guess we've talked about this already. So you
Right,
can
and this
ask
is
the
a
motion.
real no-cost IGA with the township, again, working with another government entity to improve Huntley Road. The cost will be the construction of Huntley Road, not the acquiring of the property to do it.
Really, I just wanted to say that over the years, we used to almost never have any intergovernmental agreements, and now we have more and more and more where we're working with other governmental entities to either save money or get projects done in a more efficient manner. It's been really good to work with East and West Dundee and Dundee Township on these different things. Algonquin with the water connect, and they're having a land acquisition problem, and we'd have that done too. It's always land acquisition that sticks on a lot of these.
And they're typically not free either, so they're typically not exchanges. Usually you're paying something for land acquisition. So this is, it's a good benefit from this relationship.
And the Dundee Park District is,
That's right, I love them.
we're about to close on a separate deal. We can talk later on with the Keith Andrews Park, and they're not charging us.
Anybody else with a question or comment? Chief?
Trustee Rayburg.
Yes.
Trustee Schultz.
Yes.
Trustee Burroway.
Yes.
Trustee Stevens.
Yes.
Trustee Humfer.
Yes.
Trustee Sabi.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready for trustee reports. We'll start with Paul this evening.
A very short report, voting for the primary, which I don't think involves us, anybody running for office up here. That begins locally on Monday. You can vote at the town, or down at the county if you want now, but on Monday you'll be able to do it locally. So.
And I think Station 3, 93 on the west side is open Monday for early voting.
Grandview and Sleepy Hollow Road.
Anything else, Paul?
That's it. Thank you.
Jeff?
I don't really have anything tonight. Thank you.
No report from me tonight. Thank you.
Just a quick one. I wanted to say that I was happy to see the ambulance out there, and I don't know why in my head I thought it was coming in May, that the build-out was a little later into the year, and then when I pulled up I was thinking, is that it already? And it was very nice, and had one of our firefighters offer to give me a tour, and we talked about the cot that was in there and how much they like it. And it's a very nice piece of equipment, and I really think that I was thinking in my mind, I don't, this is just a guess, but I'm thinking how long that I've been on the board and prior audit and finance committee meetings. This is probably maybe third or fourth ambulance, I think, that we've purchased, and I was very pleased to see it, and I'm glad that we were able to get it, I guess, a little sooner. I don't know. It seemed like it to me anyway, and really was hope that they, you know, take care of it, and I'm sure they will, and it's already been in use for about a week or so. So that will conclude my report. So.
I'd like to piggyback on that and say, yeah, congratulations on that new fine-looking ambulance you got out there. Understand it's got the lift in it, so there's no prevent injuries, back injuries to the paramedics and EMTs that use that. So that's a good thing. It should last a long time because we got the heavier duty one too, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, so very good on that. And I'd just like to welcome the new clerk. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. And good luck. That's it.
You stole the words out of my mouth. Welcome, Kelly. We're glad to have you. That's it.
Okay. As the manager points out, it's been the last two chiefs we've gone with heavier ambulances that cost a little more money but should last us a lot longer. The firefighters were pointing out a couple of interesting things, that this has a light that goes off to the front right so that you can see the addresses before you get to the house. And lights out the side that they can see when they're coming across the driveway and stuff. So it's got driveway lights, it's got backup lights. It's really nice, and you can tell that it's a heavy-duty machine too, just by looking at the way the frame on it and everything sits. So,
And having that bariatric stretcher in there is going to prevent work comp injuries. And this is what, our second, third ambulance that we have that now in. And I think this sets us apart from our neighbors. It's our fourth. Sorry. Yeah.
All of them, right?
All four ambulances, including the reserve ambulance.
This is huge.
have the system in it.
Yeah.
Nobody's picking up anybody or using, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, even the
Using a machine to do
firefighter
it.
pointed that out, Paul, that the cost just outweighs what the workman's comp could be. Yeah, so it was really good.
Yes.
So,
okay, continuing, I was last Wednesday, I went to the senior center over at Rake House Center and talked to senior citizens. The 4 different township mayors were there. It's always a very nice group. They ask good questions. A couple of them are very concerned about the traffic on Washington and Main. One of them really likes the idea of the traffic circle, roundabout, and the other one wasn't so sure, but they like to express their opinions. It's just because they're 75 and 80 years old doesn't make them stop wanting to be good citizens. So it's really nice. One of my more fun events of the year that I go to. And Ginger and I went to Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Breakfast, where a lot of representatives from all the villages and towns go, and there were probably a couple of federal representatives there from somebody from Durbin's office and somebody from Duckworth's office, and a number of senators and representatives. And we made a presentation about the things that Northwest Municipal Conference really wants to see at the state level, like preservation of the state income tax that comes to the villages and not having that reduced, and talked about the property tax freeze. But what was there were 2 of them? The
Pension reform.
pension reform, right? The other main one was pension reform. And I'm also a member of the Impact Advisory Committee. It's a county-wide group that reviews the impact fees, the fees that businesses that want to come into a certain area or on Randall Road are on there. And this group has been trying to push for some relief because we had really high impact fees, and there are now some ways where businesses can get relief from the high impact fees, which may help us on Randall Road to get we have two larger parcels on the north end of our Randall Road area that we'd like to get filled with businesses. And this reduced impact fee could be a big benefit to us, because it could save a company $1 million coming in there. So that was a good one. I was glad I was on that particular committee. And we do have one election that affects everybody in Carpentersville, which is for Township Road Supervisor and Township Trustee elections. And they do have a forum Thursday at 7 p.m. at the township offices, which are over on Route 72. So if you're interested in any of the township offices or the Township Road Supervisor, that would be a time to go listen to the candidates.
This Thursday, Ed?
This Thursday, right, because early voting starts next week for that one. That's a actual primary. It's Republicans and Democrats and so forth. Well, with that would end up with all of our regular business, and we would be ready for a closed session. And we only have one item this evening, which is 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act. So I would need a motion to go to closed session.
I'll motion, go to closed session.
Motion Ginger.
Second.
Second Jeff. Any discussion? Otherwise call the roll.
Trustee Burroway,
Yes.
Trustee Stevens,
Yes.
Trustee Humfer,
Yes.
Trustee Sabi,
Yes.
Trustee Rayberg,
Yes.
Trustee Schultz.
Yes.
Move to